The other thing is, we have over 300,000 advocates, e-advocates. Students can sign up. For those of you who follow my tweets, which I must tell you are fascinating. I do book reviews too on Facebook. But none of any French books. I don't read French. They can sign up. It's really easy to do. We're trying to build that to over 1 million. And you need good, you need good email addresses and so forth. But look, when we need more money in Sacramento, or there's some very bad bill or something, if we can generate 10 or 20,000 letters in a week, which we have done in some weeks, that helps us in the political process. And that's obviously totally voluntary. And if you disagree with us, then you don't want to write a letter. But it's very helpful, because when you look at our numbers, we have over 200,000 students, 180,000 employees of various types. We have millions of graduates out there. And we do go shoulder to shoulder with CSU and the community colleges. We've got to be a political force in this state, and you're part of it. You vote. You do vote, all of you, right? You vote, get registered, vote, and and send letters, and you're entitled to do that. And I mean, I want the day to come when someone calls me on the phone, okay, we're pulling down the bill. I just got 40,000 letters. That's a good day for me.
The website is ucforcalifornia.org.
Do you have any solutions to preserving the humanities and social sciences divisions? Just because not by preserving these divisions, you're not only preserving like these majors, but also like the interests of students of color. And so,
yeah, and all students. I mean, I'm sure the students of color are interested, but yeah, I don't have an easy solution. The solution is we need more money from the state of California, because again, the philosophy department is not likely to be getting major grants from the National Institute of Health and all the rest of that. So we need to have more state money. That's what the core state money is for. The campuses, I think, are increasingly pressing for private fundraising. I mean, this is related to the question about buildings. If someone came to me and said, Mr. President, where should I put our money? I would say we need to strengthen what I would call arts, humanities, social sciences. Now, if they would listen to me, I said, so I think we need more philanthropy there, and we need to try to get more state funds. I don't think there's an easy solution. What I'm saying is that the policies of the state of California are systematically harming the arts and humanities. And it's very difficult to come up with a strategy that's going to do it, other than trying to improve philanthropy and fighting back and saying we need these things, we need this money for what I consider the core of the university, and that's part of it. But I mean, you're right. I mean, my statement was a value statement, and I believe that across this country, people, legislatures and others have not been supportive enough of the arts and humanities, and that's just the truth. And we need to reverse the way they think about it. We also live in an age where, look, I sit at my desk, I like Wallace Stevens' poems. I think there's more wisdom in a Russian novel than I frankly find on Twitter. And I think it's paired. You have to understand, what we need in the modern environment is people who can think, and people who are literate, and people who can write well, and people who can synthesize ideas. And those are all the strengths of the humanities and social sciences. And that is better, I think, than any specific course you can take. But right now we're losing that battle to some extent, because the public mind is, will there be a spin-off from the computer science department of a software package that will take the nation by storm? And that's important. I'm not denying that. But there are reasons why the social sciences and humanities have been in our curriculum from the very start of the university. So.
Oh, mine isn't for the nation, but I mean, I guess the question that I would have is sort of a broader one, is a concern, I guess, regarding maintaining these core ideals of the UC. So access, affordability, and excellence. You previously sort of said that, excellence is something that really can't be sacrificed. But in times when funding is so tight, I mean, where do you cut, or what has to be sacrificed? Is there a way to balance those three, or does something have to give?
Well, that's what we're gonna put up on, next week for the board. Now, look, all these are terrible alternatives we have. So we'll model what happens if you have 10,000 fewer students. We'll model what happens if you raise tuition. We'll model what you do if you reduce the faculty. What would happen if you reduce the set aside for financial aid. And we'll model a lot of things. My fear is it's going to be difficult to maintain all three, access, affordability, and quality. But as a personal statement, we cannot give up on the quality. So we're going to have to look at the other awful alternative. I mean, awful in the sense that they're going to hurt a lot. Because we don't have the quality, then it's not the University of California. You might as well have gone someplace else. And the quality of the faculty is critical. If they all leave for private institutions, we have a big problem. If we don't get the grad students, and eventually it'll happen in our applications pool. You know, with all the rises in tuition, we are so popular. We have 106,000 applications last year. I mean, UCLA is just about the most popular public university in America. They're swamped. But we have to do it. We have to maintain the quality. Quality is a lot of things. The people who are teaching you also are not only transmit knowledge, but the creators of knowledge. They're on the forefront. And that's true whether it's critical literary studies or you know, whether it's the chemistry department. So, but that's what I'm going to, you really put your finger on it. What I'm concerned about is we talk a good game, access, affordability, quality. How do we maximize all three in an era of diminishing resources? And if we can't maximize them, what's the best package, the least destructive of the student's interest, the least worst thing we can do in some very bad alternatives? And that's what we're going to discuss next week. And I think some people will find some of the stuff scary. But I don't know any way to do it other than to be transparent and have people have adequate opportunity to weigh in about how they would handle it. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah.
I don't want to keep coming back to our campus, but I think that this happens on all campuses. Part of the problem that happened with the psychology department that we mentioned earlier was that basically they have a certain number of faculty positions in the department, but as professors leave, so if they can't afford to replace them,
right,
they don't hire them. And since you're mentioning that one of the models will be to look at smaller faculty numbers in departments, I'm wondering if that takes into account that some of those positions that are being reported that we have aren't filled.
Oh, it takes account of it. I'm well aware of it. We have 8,000 unfilled positions, about half of them on the staff side and half on the faculty side. And that's what I mean. This is what I've said. You have to look at it holistically if you're a student. You may not want to pay higher fees, but if we have to freeze faculty hiring, we can't fill when people retire or move on. That has consequences for you too. That's what you saw in the psych department at Santa Cruz. So, and we've done a lot of layoffs of mid-level management. We've done other things. We can do more. I'm not saying they're perfect, but at the end of the day, if you don't have adequate resources, one way or another, the students will pay. They will either pay in terms of class availability, access, or student services, mental health services, and so forth, or they'll pay a higher price or some combination until we get some relief from the state of California.
It's hard to imagine always that what I'm about to say is true, but when these changes are made, they really are done, I think, by very careful, thoughtful people, so that if something is harmed, it is with an intention of helping something else. In other words, it's trying to make a terrible balance, so that in the American Studies program at Santa Cruz, for instance, they couldn't support the broadness of what was there before, and so making it smaller made it administratively more efficient. It's a terrible choice to have to make, but it's still, the faculty are still there, the courses can still be taught and so forth. It's just not quite the same, but the intent is to change some things with the overall intention of optimizing quality for the broad university or the the social studies and so forth. It's hard to see that that's true sometimes, but there really are people trying very hard to maintain the quality as we make these choices.